On June 5th, 2014, the date was, I think, installment on your road. You were already in a meeting asking how to make Hyderabad the startup capital of India. Oh, I have plenty of notes.
No, I thought there would be some kind of easing into the discussion. You're already...
No. We will ease into it, trust me. What followed? EHA, now the world's largest startup incubator. EHA, T-Works, TSI Fast, Pharmaceutical Aerospace and Defense Corridors, the country of American Standard Parking Corridors, a year of AI declared in 2020. CEO Malan with the World Economic Forum, IT exports went from 57,000 crores to 2.72 lakh crores. They got from 3 lakhs to more than 10 lakhs. The people in Hyderabad is half the rate of every other metro. Telangana went from 11th to number 1 in rice production. Amazon, Google, Apple, Meta, Salesforce, Uber, Micron, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Novartis, all came here. Hyderabad produces 75% of the world's vaccines. He went to Davos 3 times and Switzerland 5 times. More times than I went to my in-laws' house. Hyderabad produces 35% of the world's vaccines. I have said that already. 11 state governments in Hyderabad study what you built. 3 million Twitter followers. During COVID, he personally responded to thousands of people asking for hospital beds and oxygen, and there was somewhere a request for a chicken biryani with an increase. But ladies and gentlemen, KTR.
I think నేను చెప్పాలనుకున్నంత ఆయన చెప్పారు, so I think I can just leave now because
no, what's the version of you that everybody knows?
No, thank you. Firstly, just wanted to thank Anant, thank Corporate Connections, and thank all of you for showing up. I'm told there are people from Vizag, there are people also from Vijayawada, and any other place? Warangal, and somebody from Tirupati. Who's from Tirupati? Hi man. Nagpur, anybody? So good, we have people from all over. Thank you very much. So I guess I should stick to English, or is Telugu okay? How many non-Telugu speakers here? Non-Telugu. Okay, there are quite a few. So I'll stick to English. English and probably a little bit of Hindi, all right?
Yes.
All right, now let's go. If this is the way you're going to quote people, go right into, doing all the hard kill, then it's going to be difficult, man. That's why your in-laws don't like you anymore. I'm kidding.
I said, I don't go there.
No.
He's going to leave it to us. You don't have to put up with me.
I know. Sorry about that.
No, but this is a version of you that everybody knows, right? Mm-hmm. But there's also another version of you that dances to K-pop music. Now that's the version that you want to talk about a little bit?
Where's K-pop? Are you playing it now?
No, we're not. So we don't start.
Now listen, see, my daughter who's 17 thinks I'm very goofy. So I crack some really bad dad jokes all the time. So there is, of course, I believe that every human being on the planet Earth has 3 lives. There is a public life, there is a personal life, and then there is a private life. So the public life, the public persona is what everybody gets to see. What we are doing here is obviously in full public glare. So you'll get to see the best version of me. It's like going on a first date. You are the best version of yourself. You don't want to show any of your quirks, any of your flaws, anything that is bad. You don't want to expose it, right? So that's obviously the public life. And then the personal life with your children, with your wife, with your spouse, with your friends, with your near and dear ones, where you actually are yourself, unpretentious, where you're actually cracking silly jokes, laughing at yourself, laughing at others, etc. And then, of course, there is the private life. There's a secret life, which you're only going to take to your grave. Everybody has it, trust me when I say this. There are secrets that you don't even want to share with your spouse. There are secrets that you don't even want to share with your children. And that will only be carried to the grave. So everybody has 3 lives. I think I also have 3. And in the personal life, like you said, my daughter, I don't think she's a K-pop fan anymore. Her taste keeps changing, she's a teenager, right? So, yes, very goofy, you dance with her, you joke with her. She's going to go to college this year, so I'm heartbroken already. It's like part of my heart, part of my being is leaving me. So I'm very, very heartbroken, very, very sad. But at the same time, I guess this is life. You have to deal with what, gets thrown at you.
Does she continue dancing?
Oh, absolutely, she hates it. She thinks I'm not cool at all. I would like to think I'm very cool. But I even dance in my gym, so yeah, why not?
Brilliant.
Life is too short, man, to take it very, very seriously. To be flippant, to be nonchalant, to be like cool, to be casual, to be yourself. I mean, to be full of quirks, to be full of whatever you are. I mean, see, constantly we are living under this glare where we are thinking, వాళ్ళేమనుకుంటారు వీళ్ళేమనుకుంటారు, what will people think of me, how will they judge me, how will they rate me if I dress like this, if I talk like that, or if I have a hairdo like this, or if I do something, or if I post something. We are constantly thinking too much of ourselves. Honestly, nobody gives a shit. Honestly, nobody is thinking about you. That's a fact. Maybe they look at it, laugh, or move on, right? So I would like to think that you have to be yourself, especially when you're in your personal space. And that's exactly what I do.
Since we're also talking about dad jokes, and you and I.
By the way, you have a very deep baritone, huh?
I love it.
Very intimidating.
Very effective. Very effective.
I know.
He just said I know without the mic. No, yeah, right. Okay. So you were in New York, you studied there, and you came back, but you didn't go back again.
For a while.
For a while. What changed? As in, if you were doing what you were doing, biotech, MBA, good job, the world was open, and for some reason you came back and then there was something that happened that didn't let you go back.
No, actually, how many of you have seen this Hrithik Roshan movie, Laksh? It was not a very popular hit movie, but some of you have seen it. So my life is sort of like that, in that movie, the protagonist, Hrithik Roshan, he's a drifter. So he's just drifting. It's not like he had a plan, he had things laid out for him, or he had a thought process and he had a goalpost, to strive to, etc. In fact, I don't know, this is all being shot, recorded, I'm sure it will be used as well. Unfortunately, in the digital world, anything gets out of your mouth, sometimes you're held to it, so still I'll say it. See, for most part of my life, I did not have a specific goalpost. My parents, for example, my mom wanted me to be a doctor. So I thought, okay, so probably that's the thing I would like to do. So I started studying, ended up getting about 1600 or something rank back then in MSET. It wasn't NEET then, it was called MSET. This was United Andhra Pradesh back in 93, 94. So I did not get a seat. I was going to get something like B Pharmacy or something. So then I wrote KSET, Karnataka. And then I had a seat. I got a seat there. I could have become a doctor. So came back home. My friend Mahesh knows all this. I came back home, told my dad that I'm going to be a doctor. Then he sat me down. He said, how long it's going to take for you to settle down as a doctor? I said, I don't know. He said, then 31, 32 is when you will actually complete education. Probably settle down. But then all your life, right, you will be getting emergency calls in the middle of the night. So it won't be a life which is cozy or, where you'll have your own time, your own space, etc. So think about it. That's all he said. He literally scared me. I mean, I think that was the plan. And then he always wanted me to be a civil servant. He wanted me to be an IAS officer, right? So then I told my mom, I don't think I can put in that kind of hard work, 31, 32, that's not happening, so sorry. I'd rather do this. So I ended up doing something called Bachelor's in Sciences at Nizam College, Microbiology. And then, again, by default, I wrote Masters. There was an entrance exam from JNU, I wrote that, ended up in Pune. And then after Pune, I did my Masters in Biotechnology from Pune University. And then it so happened that all my classmates, I don't think I'm the right kind of guy for this kind of an audience narrating this story, but still, you also need to hear from people like me once in a while. So all my classmates were all very driven, ambitious. Somebody wanted to actually do a job right after. Somebody wanted to be a scientist. Somebody wanted to be an academician. Somebody wanted to do something else. I had no plan. So then I said, okay, let me go fulfill my dad's dream, which is I should become a civil servant. So right after my Masters, I spent a couple of months in Delhi, just trying to understand the psyche of all these guys who go through the UPSC cycle, right? Went there. Delhi was the place where everybody was going to go get trained, right? My dad had a friend, I stayed at his friend's place, was there for a couple of months. I saw the whole gang, the JNU gang, and with all due respect to any of the JNU guys here, JNU alums or anybody who is a big fan of JNU. I saw all these guys, wearing all these jubbas, those dadis, and I'm like, okay, this is not what I'm probably cut out for. And then I spoke to a cousin of mine who's a civil servant. I asked him, I said, what does this job really entail, right? So he said, listen, if you want to make a mark of your own in the society, then what you should probably do is if you're looking for respect, this is the job. But if you're going to compare yourself to your colleagues and your peers and say, okay, he's making more money than me, and he's having a much more cushy life than me, then this is not the job, because all you're going to get here is respect, recognition, and probably some inner satisfaction. That's it. Then I went back to my dad and said, probably that's not the job for me. But Dad did not like it, but then I ended up doing my MBA. This is how I ended up in New York. And even in New York, because see, listen, I was one of those few guys, rare guys, not rare maybe, but one of those guys who basically was just drifting, coasting along. There was no pressure at home that, you have to get into a job or you have to do this or that. Unlike most of you guys, especially those second-gen businessmen or businesswomen who have had their fathers or, who have had their uncles breathing down their neck saying, you have to get into business next year. So I went to New York, completed my MBA. And then as part of the program, I got into an internship. They offered me a job, started working there. And the same job brought me back to India, in the same job. That's how it happened. It wasn't like I had a plan. It wasn't like I dreamt of being a politician. It wasn't like I was driven by something. But one thing, there is always a tipping point. There is always, something that changes there's a switch in the mind that gets flipped, right? One thing that did change after I came back on the same job. And of course, I met, I'll give you an interesting story. So when I was a minister, and there was some exhibition event somewhere in Hyderabad, I was there watching some game, something. I was seated next to Dulquer Salman. You know Dulquer, right? So Dulquer Salman and I were seated next to each other, we were talking. So I asked him generally, I said, so Dulquer, when did you start, thinking about movies? He said, pretty late. I said, what do you mean? Normally all these kids, especially, star children, they start training at a very early age, they start thinking about it, eventually they start getting into the industry at a very early age. How? He said, no, I was living in denial. I said, I'm not wanting to do this. So I went to Purdue, I did my master's, came back, started working, 27, 28, 25, 26, I think. Then suddenly one day I realized all my life, I think it was latent somewhere in the head, but I didn't realize, and eventually something suddenly one day, there was a calling saying you have to be an actor. I think that's your calling. So likewise, in my life as well, I did all this, and then I came back to India, got married at 28, and at 29, 30, that's when, after I came back to India, I had this dawning that my dad here has been fighting for this cause called Telangana, the state. And he's been championing this cause and he's been toiling hard. And in fact, in 2006, he quit his union ministry. He was a union cabinet minister. He left that. It was a cushy job. And then he left his parliament membership as well. He resigned. So that's when it hit me. Okay, this man is struggling and there's a lot of people rallying with him. I'm here at home in my own comfort zone. I think this is probably the time I need to step out and probably start helping him. So I called my boss. I was in India, he used to be in Singapore, entire APAC was our region. So I called him, I said, I probably need a couple of months of leave because, my dad is running for this office. I need to be, because it was do or die, right? So he said, if I can run the India office without you for 2 months, then you have to really think. And I said, okay, that's a fair ask, right? If the ship can sail without me for 2 months, why not? So I said, okay, then that's probably my time. So I put in my papers, joined my dad without telling him. Only after he won the election, I told him. So the point I'm trying to make, long-winded story, the point I'm trying to make is, it wasn't like there was a plan. There wasn't any plan, there wasn't any design, but there was a trigger. There was an event which made me finally bite the bullet.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I was a drifter all my life, and then came a point where I had to take a call, and that's when I did. Since 2006 till now, it's 20 years for me in public life. 20 years. And from 2006 until 14, I was in agitation. From 14 until 23, I was in government. From 24 until 26 today, I'm in opposition. So I've seen different shades of public life, enjoying all of it, all hues, all shades so far.
You did it, but when you committed to something, you did a great job at it.
Thank you.
You moved. I really want to talk about how EHA came up. Did you have a game plan when you walked into the office that day and then you called a set of people? And it was EHA idea that was already brewing in your head, or was it a conversation and then somewhere the whole concept of EHA came?
You know what? I'll tell you what. See, after I joined public life, after I joined my dad, who's now my boss also, one thing that did happen was, he keeps saying one thing, this mantra. He says, whatever you do, whatever you pick, whatever you do it immensely. No half measures. Kuch karna hai, to dil se karo. No, I'm not just saying this for an applause. Honestly, the reason why I say this is because I've realized whatever you sign up for, unless you do it with all your might, all your heart, all your devotion, you're not going to be good at it. So after I joined public life, and especially when your boss is knowledgeable, is smart, is probably going to outsmart you and outwit you, and probably also going to expose you in front of people, you better be prepared, you better be alert. So that's what I realized. So then, from 2006 until 2014 or thereafter till now, we've always, anybody who's worked with KCR Garu will tell you this, you always have to be on your toes. So in 2014, when the new state came into being and when our party was elected, initially when he said, or when he offered ministry, I actually said no. I told him, Moddu. He said, why? I said, Miru badnam hotar. It's going to be a problem for you because people will start saying, the father is a chief minister, son is a minister, nepo kid, blah, blah, blah. So why? Unnecessarily, you fought hard, you become the chief minister, people gave you a mandate. So you lead it. I mean, meerunte me andram unnatte kada, so it's okay. He said, no. Think about it. He said, not now, but even after 20 years, after spending 20 years in public life, after 20 years of being an MLA, if I make you a minister even then, in 2034, people will still say that you are my kid. So if I'm giving you an opportunity, prove yourself. If you're competent, you'll survive, you'll thrive. If you're not, the theory of evolution, survival of the fittest. So prove yourself, do your best, and see what comes off. So what I realized is that this was something of a huge responsibility. So on June 2nd, 2014, the entire cabinet was sworn in. I was in ISB, the Indian School of Business, on 4th June, 2 days, 48 hours later, just to brainstorm. The idea was just to brainstorm. So there were people from IIIT Hyderabad, there were people from ISB, there were people from my department. All of us sat down. We were just talking because I was given IT and Panchayati Raj ministries. So we were just discussing, trying to figure out what we can do. Already there is an ecosystem built in Hyderabad in technology space. But what can we do to make it better? How can we improve it? How can we give Bangalore? Because Bangalore is numero uno, number one. So how can we give them a run for their money? That was the idea. So that was a discussion. So people started giving ideas. Somebody said, Bangalore has a vibrant ecosystem. What ecosystem? Startup ecosystem. What is startup ecosystem? There are venture capital, there are youngsters who are wanting to do something, there are people who are supporting, there's mentorship, bunch of different things. There's administrative support, etc., etc. How come we don't have it? No, we do have it in pockets. They all work in silos, but they don't come together. That was the sum and substance of that meeting. So then that evening we decided that why don't we become the cohesive enabler for all these young guys in Hyderabad to come together. And that's the day we decided that we'll build India's largest technology incubator in Hyderabad. And that's how, and we did. And eventually now, if you look around, look just probably like a couple of blocks from here, what you see there, not just T-Hub, T-Works, and then you also have adjacent to it what is called as Image Tower coming up. Between all of them, you have the ability, there is about 2 million plus square foot of space where you have the ability to accommodate at least 4 to 5,000 startups. That's the world's largest innovation campus. That's going to be the world's largest innovation campus. So when you do it immensely, when you do it fully, and when you have the ambition to probably scale Mount Everest and probably scale and achieve something at world level, world standard, then I think you can do it. So it was just an outcome of a meeting where like-minded people who love Hyderabad as much as I do came together. We gave this idea, so we said yes, we agreed, and by November 2015, we could build something and launch it.
You took the expertise of the group, you got experts to do this, and then you listened to it. And first of all, not many people do that. I think when somebody walks into it at a certain level, they like calling shots. But there were instances where, I think, I love the story, when I was reading about this, it was quite interesting. This was during COVID, not that you can be wearing like these stuff like that, but when you were driving around the city, the maximum infrastructure was built during COVID because you just realized that you would get people to work for more than 10 hours, or rather get them to work through the night on one or two shifts. I think that was amazing. How tough was it to get people to do that?
It was tough, but it was interesting times. See, I was already a municipal minister for about 6 years by then, because from 2015 I became a municipal minister. So during that 5-6 years of time, initial period, I realized that it is very, very tough to do a brownfield development. You know, greenfield you can do it easy. I give you a barren land, build something on it, it's easy, pretty simple. Brownfield, you inherit a large city with all the infrastructure inadequacies or challenges, whatever. How do you make a good job of it? The first question I asked my engineers, I said, how come this private road which leads to GMR airport is awesome? You know, the minute you step away from National Highway, get onto that GMR airport road, it's brilliant. But how come the same road which is laid by same engineers within the city is always in shambles? What is the difference? This was the question I asked. Because I'm a layman, I'm not an engineer. So they said, sir, it's a greenfield road. It was laid from the scratch and it has multiple layers and it has been built in a fashion which is going to last. So what about this? They said, sir, but it has been built by somebody previously, and when it gets damaged, we only do repairs. We don't do it from the scratch again. We don't like completely peel it off and lay a fresh road. Then I started thinking, how do we solve this? You know, you just repair a pothole, then next couple of days it's gone again, and then you see a problem there again. So how do we do this? What do we do? And then we started looking at other things. How do we probably improve this? So we came out with multiple programs. And one of the things I realized is the toughest part for an engineer or a contractor working in a city like Hyderabad is they only get 6 hours, or even a city like Vizag or Vijayawada or any other urban pockets. They only get 6 hours from 12 o'clock in the midnight till 6 o'clock in the morning. That is the time window where they can actually close the road, shut down a lane and work. Or else there is traffic all the time. You can't work it during the daytime. So what ended up happening was, during COVID lockdown, when the first lockdown was announced, I sensed an opportunity. I said, okay, this is a great opportunity where I can have my team work 24 hours. I can have them work 4 shifts or 3 shifts, 8 hours each. And then I realized, okay, there is a problem. While I may be keen, none of the workers are. All the workers were migrating, carrying their children. They were all already on the streets. Somebody already got into a bus, lorry, train, whatever, and they were all leaving. You know what we had to do? Firstly, we had to convince the contractors, saying, boss, this is a great opportunity. Let's get some work done. Let's lay roads. Let's get some flyovers done. You're going to get 4 times the normal time that you would get during, other times. 4 times that window. So let's get things done. So they were also excited. I told them, of course, I'll pay them more. And then they said, sir, but workers, all the workers who have to toil day in, day out to make this happen, they are not convinced. They're scared. They're really scared for life. I had to go to about 14 labor colonies. We had to go to them. We physically visited each and every one of them, addressed them, told them, listen, this is a universal menace or a global menace, COVID. So it's not like you can run away from here, go to Bihar or Jharkhand or wherever you're from. and you're safe. It's not like that. You're as safe as you are there. Maybe you're going to be with your family, but we will make sure that nothing happens to you. We'll take care of your health. We'll pay you extra time, overtime, and we'll give you much more. And I assure you that I will set up health camps and I'll give you whatever is required, like vaccines or whatever is the latest drug, latest medicine, etc., etc. So infused confidence into them. And we were able to do some magic. When all of Hyderabad locked itself inside their homes, and by the time they walked out, a couple of months later, we had new roads, we had new flyovers, we had a lot of very, very interesting new infrastructure things happen. And that came as a big, big surprise. I can't name names, but one very, very senior judge called me. He said, this is something I've never seen before. I came out, I saw this new link road that was not there before. So what magic did you guys do? I couldn't say more, but yes. So there is always, since you're all businessmen and businesswomen, I tell you one thing, whenever life throws a bouncer, throws a curveball at you, there is always a silver lining, without a question. Even if it looks like there is nothing in there. It's all looking negative, it's all looking very, very, complete showstopper, etc. There is always a glimmer of hope, always a silver lining, but you have to find it. That's your thing. Nobody else can find it for you. So what I would propose is, I think Corporate Connections should do more and more of that, more and more of those interactions where people need to see and figure out what can be done even in the worst of situations.
Absolutely. That was, you walk in, you meet Sundar Pichai. From that conversation to Shabu actually hitting the ground, what happens between that? How do you convince someone where you have an ecosystem here, you have everything here, it's better than Bangalore, why don't you try it? How does that conversation work?
No, it's very simple. In fact, I'll tell you what. So every time I met my potential investors, I tell them one thing. I say, if you're looking to invest in India, I keep telling them two things. I say, firstly, do not look at us through the prism of New Delhi, because there are 28 different Indias. There's no one India. There's 28 different Indias, and we are all very, very different. Telangana is different from Maharashtra. Maharashtra is different from Andhra. Andhra is different from Tamil Nadu, etc., etc. So 28 different policies, 28 different state governments, bilateral engagement is always better, is the first thing I tell them. And give them the confidence that, you are going to make absolutely clear of what promises you make and how you're going to keep them. That's first thing, transparency. Second, I tell them simply, listen, go to Bombay first, then to Delhi, then to Chennai, then to Bangalore, and then last, make Hyderabad your last stop. I don't have to sell anything. Hyderabad will sell itself. Hyderabad will definitely, absolutely win you over. That's it.
No wonder investors say that you can sell ice to Eskimos. As in, which is that perfect.
Absolutely. It's easy. See, you have a city like Hyderabad.
Did they do that? As in, did they actually go and...
No, you have to do
stuff in terms of go visit Delhi, go visit Bombay?
No, you don't have to. You just have to go to Bangalore and then come here. No, I'm kidding. But listen, I'll tell you, sometimes you have to do things. Like, Foxconn chairman was coming here for the first time. So I've been wooing this company for 7 years. So this love story or potential love story started in 2015.
Yeah.
So I meet them in Davos, I meet them somewhere else, Each time I'm pitching to him, saying, please come to Hyderabad, please invest. Because I know the potential of this company. Because this one company can potentially employ hundreds of thousands of people, blue-collar workers, in any given country. So if you look at Taiwan, China, or Vietnam, or other places where they have huge factories, each factory has 40,000 people, 50,000 people, and I know the kind of scale they have. So I was desperate for them to come to Hyderabad. So my, flirting with them started in 2015. Come 2027, 22, finally, this chairman of Foxconn said, okay, I'm coming to Hyderabad. And he had some intention of signing an MOU, of course, right? Because 7 years, we were really, really chasing hard. So now I had to make the best impression on him. So what do I do? So what I did was, Chief Minister's camp office, it was in Panjagutta, Somajiguda, the Pragati Bhavan, as it was called. I could have, he lands in Shamshabad. I could have driven him directly from Shamshabad, directly over PV Narasimha Rao Expressway and taken him straight to Panjagutta. But I said, that's probably not the route I'm taking. So I told my guys, I said, bring him through ORR, get him to financial district, make sure that he goes through the whole thing, looks at, this newer part of Hyderabad. Okay, then he's going to say, okay, this is impressive. And then he drive him through Durgam Cheru and all that and bring him to CM camp office. You know what happens? So he comes, he meets KCR Garu. The first thing he says, is this India? This is what he said. The point is, sometimes when we go to a nice Michelin star restaurant, or versus when you go to a Udupi hotel, what is a bloody big difference in terms of food quality? I don't think there's a great deal of difference. It's always the presentation. It's always how you present. It's always how beautifully you lay it out. How you market what you're selling. Whatever your product is. It could be food, it could be a commodity, it could be something else. Or your state. How you market it. How you present it. How you articulate. How you actually sell it. Right? So, essentially, that's what we need to do. As when you're selling an idea, when you're selling a product, or when you're pitching an investment, that's exactly what we did. So I have multiple such examples. For another example, I'll give you. Again, this was in the middle of COVID. The way we used to work, we were working like a startup, literally like a startup. So I used to read all the business papers. So one morning I pick up a business paper, I read this article there. It says a company called Kitex, which manufactures kids' garments, is leaving Kerala and he's looking at investing in Sri Lanka or someplace, Karnataka or someplace. Some 3,000 plus crores of investment. I know that in my mind, because I was already handlooms and textiles minister, I know the textile sector is a huge employment creator. So the minute I saw it, I clicked a picture, I sent it to my secretary. I said, listen, I don't know who this guy is, get hold of him. Catch hold of him, I want to talk. So he got me the number. He got me the MD's number. His name is Sabu Jacob. So I sent Sabu Jacob a text saying, Mr. Sabu, this is KTR, I want to speak to you, I'm the minister, industry, etc., etc. No response. I saw the blue ticks. Here I am thinking, I'm a minister, who will not call me, sitting here in my fancy chair. No call, nothing, not even a response. So I told my secretary, why don't you call this man? He's not even answering here. I don't know if the number is right, you better call him. Figure out if he is actually the man we think, or did I send it to a wrong person? So my secretary called him. And then Mr. Jacob called me. He said, sir, I didn't know it was you. I thought it was somebody pranking me. Right? I said, no, sir, it is me. And he said, what can I do? This was in the middle of COVID. So I said, I saw this news item that you're moving your investment. And I have a brilliant textile policy. And I want you to explore my state, Telangana and Hyderabad. So he was very polite. He said, okay, typical Malayali, very nice style. He said, no, sir, we are definitely going to consider. We'll meet, we'll talk. I said, when can we meet? He said, sir, I'll check the flights because it is COVID, all flights are grounded. I will check and come back. So I said, can I send you a private jet? He's like, what? I said, can I send you a private jet to Cochin? Not a big difference. 1 hour, it's okay. He's like, are you serious? I said, I'm very serious. He said, can I share this with my press people in Kerala? I said, you can, but only when you're boarding the flight, you're saying it, not before. He said, why? Otherwise, then I said, Kerala Chief Minister will come and sit at your home. I know that. So this call happened on Tuesday, and that man was here on a Thursday evening. We sent the jet, he came here with zero intention of investing. Thursday evening he was here, I hosted dinner. Friday morning he announced 1,000 crore investment. We flew him in a helicopter to Warangal, to Kakatiya Mega Textile Park. He saw the infrastructure there. It is India's largest textile park, by the way, 1,600 acres. He saw the infrastructure there. He announced 2,000 crore more. Then he came back. He saw one more unit here in Chandan Valley, which is where Welspun has set up its unit. He went there. He saw the place. He announced 500 crore more. So altogether, this man invested 3,500 crores of investment, all because we moved fast. We were innovative. We were aggressive. So my point is, if you are going to go after something, go after it, single-minded focus. Do not hesitate to be bold. Do not hesitate to be radical. Do not even think for a second that what is the other person going to think. Sometimes people might think I'm being flashy when I say I'm sending you a jet. But it worked. Right? So, and ultimately, that's what matters.
Is there an industry that is your favorite? Part one of the question. Part two is, Was there a wish list that you couldn't make it in terms of the companies that you brought here?
Oh, there's plenty. There's plenty that you miss, right?
I know, but favorite one from that wish list, you still feel...
No, I'll tell you what. See, two big industries which were almost signed here, but then arm twisted. They were arm twisted into going to Gujarat. Micron and Keynes. Both of them almost signed here. But I think because of the PLI scheme and because of union government's, firm grip, so to speak, they simply were told either Gujarat or no. That's it. So they had to go. So if you feel bad after doing all the hard work, wooing them for so many years, and then everything was done, and this gentleman calls you and says, "Boss, I like Hyderabad, I love your government, but unfortunately I'm left with no choice. I'm being arm twisted into going to Gujarat." You feel bad. So yes, we missed some of those very, very marquee semiconductor investments. I would say that is one sector. Because the dream of Fab City in Hyderabad has been a long one. Chandrababu Naidu Garu set up Fab City back in 2001. I wish we could have, built a nice semiconductor fab or even a fabless company here, which could have done that. But unfortunately, that is one thing I missed out on. And then, what was the other question you said?
The industries that you have. Is there a favorite industry? As in, you started with IT and then you moved to something else.
I wish we had a port. No, I mean, when I say this, see, two things absolutely, why can't we sign an agreement with Andhra? See, Bandar was once a part of Telangana, Hyderabad state. I don't know if you know this. Bandargah, today Machilipatnam, was actually at one point of time, we had direct access to, port. We had a seaport at one point. So, I wish as a sister state, we could work with Andhra and have a dedicated port. That would be a great move so that we can even attract port-based manufacturing and port-based industries as well. The second thing I would say, while Hyderabad is doing exceptionally well in space tech, I think there is a lot more potential there. I think which we could focus on. So these two sectors, I would say, port-based manufacturing and maybe a little bit of space tech, I think.
When you have so many things that you want to plan and you want to do, the election cycle is 5 years, right? But you're not making these bets for 5 years. You are setting something up which will probably outlast you, which will probably be for 10 years or 15 years. How do you make those calls? As in, if you were to be sitting down and then you say, this is what we're going to do in terms of governance, in terms of any innovation that you want to bring in. And I have a follow-up question which I'll ask after this. But a lot of your innovation has been around governance. But then you make these plans and then you know that you have a 5-year term. You're probably confident you'll come back for the next 5 years. But how does that trade-off work?
Well, it's a loaded question, because there are two parts to your question in the way I would like to answer it. One, the biggest challenge, and I say this with utmost humility, with utmost respect. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm not trying to be condescending of anyone. The biggest hurdle, sorry to say this, to India's growth is our bureaucracy. They are the biggest hurdle, without a question, because they are status quoists. They enjoy the ambiguity of status quo. They do not want to change anything because they thrive in ambiguity. They like the fact that nothing is well defined. And the way they look at politicians is, see, simple. Democracy is one where people's writ runs large. Yeah. People's opinion prevails, and no matter if you... See, I might not like my chief minister or the prime minister, but they are the chief minister and the prime minister elected by the people. That's how it works. When you have an elected government and when they have made certain promises to the people, it's the job of the bureaucracy to fulfill it. Lawmakers, the legislature gets to decide the policy. The bureaucracy has to implement it. That's their job. Executive has to implement it. But what ends up happening, Anant, is they end up thinking. So the challenge here is, how do you disrupt governance? So that's what we did. So what did we do? I'll give you an example. When KTR Garu became chief minister, he held an initial review meeting with all the industries and IT department. He asked one question. He said, why should government be in the business of giving clearances to industries? This was the pointed question he asked. He said, why is it that government should even give a permission to a factory? Why is it government should give any industry any approval at all? Why can't they just say that I'm starting an industry, I'm going to create such employment, and they can sign an affidavit and move on? So why should government be in the process? All the bureaucrats who were sitting in that meeting were scratching their heads. How to answer this man who's asking very radical questions. They did not have an answer for about 5 minutes. They're like, what is happening? And then finally one of them said, sir, what if something goes wrong? What if there is an accident? Who is to be held responsible? He said, what kind of a flippant reaction is that? What do you mean, what if something goes wrong? Why would you assume? That's an exception. Why should it be the norm? Why should even government be in the business? Then somebody said something else like labor laws, they will exploit, etc., etc. Then he said, okay, let's strike a balance. If somebody is investing money, somebody is investing effort, somebody is putting their emotions into this enterprise, of course they have thought through all this, right? Why don't we actually give them an opportunity to self-certify, saying I'm going to be in compliance with the law of the land. And if I, by any chance, don't abide by that, you can punish me. You can penalize me. So let's make it self-certification. Then he sent this team of officers for 3 months to various countries across the globe, Singapore, Australia, Ireland, US, UK. And he said, study all the models, come back. They came back. They said, sir, these are the models that work really well. And eventually we came out with what is called as TSI Pass. Now TSI Pass, for those of you who do not know, Telangana State Industrial Project Approval Self-Certification System is a unique model which is hitherto not known to the entire country anywhere, which allows you to hit the ground running. Start your enterprise on day one in Telangana. And you can start building your factory, start building your enterprise, start building whatever it is that you want to build, and start day one without even seeking any approval from Gram Panchayat, municipality or state government. No other state in India will tell you this. Parallelly, simultaneously, for regulatory compliance reasons, you can put in an application on the portal. Just send all the details, like who you are, how much capital you're going to invest, how many people you're going to employ, what are the kind of certificates or certifications or NOCs you would need, etc., etc. Government mandates you by law, the officers by law, that every certificate or everything shall be answered in 15 days. If we don't deliver on the 15-day promise, on the 16th day, it's a deemed approval. It's an automatic approval. And on the 16th day, the government also has the ability to fine a penalty of rupees 1,000 per day towards any officer who's become a stumbling block. This is what he came out with. Now the same set of officers who were hitherto giving clearances arbitrarily and today are compelled because an act, a law has been created, a statute has been created, thereby creating a compulsion. And it is worked like magic. More than 24,000 permissions were given during our government, and 99% of the time they were all within the window, which is a record in itself. So no renewals, no this, no that, no janjat, no nonsense. Now this is the kind of stuff, policy innovation that can happen if you apply yourself to it. The point I'm trying to make is, see, we are all temporary on planet Earth. We are all going to die. For those of you who did not know that, please wake up. So when you realize that, you have to always build institutions which are going to outlast individuals. You have to build processes which will outlast persons. You have to build something that will truly be your legacy, which will outlast you and your being, physical being, for a long time. When you figure that out, I think you will come out with all kinds of innovations in business, in governance, in policy, in every domain of life.
You did something very differently. You did not normally just promote people and then give them positions high up in whatever that you were initiating. You went the corporate route, and then you started bringing in people who seemed to fit that role. Now, was that a conscious decision, or was that something that you wanted to try? Because it wasn't done anywhere else. When you started bringing in subject matter experts to sit in positions, and not just someone who you just said who thinks he's the know-all.
Boss, I'll tell you, all of us know in this room, even though you may be a CEO of a company, managing director of a company, or whatever position you held, you could be a CXO, whatever you are, no individual or an institution is a repository of wisdom.
Yeah.
I know nothing about medicine, for example. I may be an expert in something, but my knowledge is very limited to that particular field. Somebody else might have a great knowledge of logistics. Somebody else might have a great deal of information on AI. So when we started identifying our strong areas as a state, we identified 14 areas. We said, okay, these are the 14 thrust areas where we are going to seek investment. Then I said, who are the experts who are going to head these domains? Then one of them said, okay, this IAS officer, that bureaucrat. I said, but he's not a specialist. He's got nothing to do with this domain. So if I'm looking at food processing sector and how to attract investment in food processing, I'd rather get somebody from that industry, somebody who knows the game, who understands how the industry works, what they would want from the government, etc., and then employ them. That's easier. So that's how we created 14 verticals, and each vertical was headed by an industry expert. All of them, of course, reporting to the bureaucrats and making sure that they also report to me. So we created a very, very interesting kind of hierarchy. We employed nearly 340 people from private sector. My director digital media, Dilip, who was my director digital media in the government, was also from Google. So earlier, just say hi. He's working with me now, so I can continue to expose him like I did. So point is, we had about 340 people, all from the private sector. Somebody was heading V-Hub, somebody was heading T-Hub, somebody was heading our food processing sector, somebody was heading our life sciences division. All of them, electronics and semiconductors, there was somebody else. So all of these gentlemen and ladies who came from the private sector were a conscious choice by me, saying, okay, unless we bring them in, unless we bring their expertise, we are not going to be able to attract industry the way we want to.
Was there pushback?
Of course there was. I suspect there won't be. See, people...
From people near you?
Absolutely. See, human beings are resistant to change. If you sleep on right side of the bed, and if your wife is going to ask you tomorrow to sleep on the left side, you'll hate it. That's how silly we are. That's how silly we are. So, we fear resisting change like that. Aren't you going to resist change when I say that I'm going to bring in somebody new, and that person is going to be basically running the show and not you? Of course you will be. So yes, there was a lot of pushback, there was a lot of, lopal godavalu, a lot of infighting, a lot of nonsense. No. In fact, KCR Garu, the greatest thing he does, and this is one thing that leaders need to, all business leaders also need to know. When first he'll test you. First you need to test your deputy properly, if he's good enough or she's good enough. When you know they are good enough, delegate and leave it to them. That's one thing. Style of leadership is delegation style of leadership. So when KCR trusted you, when KCR knows that you're doing your job and doing it reasonably well, he'll trust you enough to take your decisions. And that's what he did with all of us. So therefore what happened is, each of us was running our department with a lot of autonomy. And therefore, things were moving quicker, the hurdles were lesser, and we were able to get a lot more done other than normal.
There's no denying the fact I saw that this happened. When you were this kind of soft change that you brought in. Phenomenal. What happened? Why did we lose?
Why did we lose? Well, a lot of things happened. Thank you for that question. What happens is, I'll give you an interesting example. So in 2018, we are going into an election. We are drafting our election manifesto. We had already brought in a scheme called as Raitu Bandhu. Now Raitu Bandhu, for those of you who do not know, is farm input assistance and a subsistence input assistance to a farmer from the state to the extent of 10,000 rupees per acre for 2 crop cycles. This is what the state gives. We had already announced it, we were already implementing it. And then my manifesto team was sitting, entire party manifesto committee was sitting with KCR Garu. I was also there in the room. Then somebody proposed that we should offer a loan waiver. I said, what loan waiver? They said, crop loan waiver. I said, you're already giving you're a farm input. So why would the farmer even, the assumption you're making is, you're giving him farm input assistance, so therefore there is no need for a loan, right? You're giving them 5,000 rupees per acre per crop. So what is the need for a loan? Then why are you even talking about a loan waiver? So this argument went on for a bit. Somebody said, no, Congress is offering, how come you can't offer? You should be doing it. If Congress is saying 2 lakhs, at least offer 1 lakh. That was the argument. Rahul Gandhi is coming and he's saying 2 lakh de denge, ye karenge, wo karenge, humko bhi to karna hai. Then I looked at KCR Garu. And this is one line you need to remember, why we lost. Sorry if I sound a bit curt saying it. So he said, you need to understand something, Ram. One, politicians in our country are intellectually bankrupt. People are economically bankrupt. People are economically bankrupt. What is our per capita income of this country? $2,777, right? Per capita income of this country. Of course, Telangana is $5,000 plus. We are the richest in the country. That's a separate story. Double the national average. But country's national average is $2,777. So people are economically bankrupt. Politicians are intellectually bankrupt. What does the politician want? He wants power by hook or crook. There is Rahul Gandhi who is going to tell you, I'm going to offer you the moon, without even knowing what basic economics there are, or whether there is money in the kitty, whether there is none, whatever. So when such a deadly cocktail happens, a cocktail of bankruptcies, they made 420 promises, boss. I'll tell you some of the extravagant promises they've made. They said, KCR ji is giving 1 lakh rupees for shadi of a poor girl. I'm going to give you 1 tola of gold, 10 grams of gold. On top of that, on top of the 1 lakh. They said KCR is giving 2,000 rupees as pension. I'm going to give you 4,000. KCR is offering you 10,000. I'm going to offer you 50. It became a bidding war, like IPL bidding war. People, what happens is, see, boss, Anand, how long have you been married? I'm going to put you in a spot. Okay, I'm assuming he's married. 10 साल के बाद हस्बैंड बीवी को टेकन फॉर ग्रांटेड है, बीवी हस्बैंड को टेकन फॉर ग्रांटेड है. हमारा भी 10 साल हो गया यार, वही तो हुआ. एंड दे सेड ओके, अगर केसीआर नहीं है तो क्या चलेगा, क्या होगा, चलेगा, कोई और आएगा चलाएगा, क्या फर्क पड़ेगा. टेकन फॉर ग्रांटेड. व्हाट हैपेंस इज, इट्स अ गुड थिंग. व्हाट हैज हैपेंड, आवर लॉस इज अ गुड थिंग. గుడ్ థింగ్ ఫర్ అస్, గుడ్ థింగ్ ఫర్ ద పీపుల్ as well. ఎందుకంటే తెలుగులో ఇది ఒక్కటి చెప్పాలి, గాడిదని చూస్తేనే గుర్రం విలువ తెలుస్తుంది. ఇప్పుడు తెలుస్తుంది.
But you're in a unique position today where you were part of the agitation, then you were in power.
Let me translate that for my friends who don't speak that. गधे को परखने के बाद ही घोड़े की अहमियत आपको पता चलेगी, यही बोल रहा था मैं.
You're in a unique position today where you've been part of the agitation. You've been in power. You've seen tremendous success in what you did. And you are now in opposition. I think it's brilliant. I honestly think it's brilliant. Because now you've suddenly detached from what's happening, and then you have a bird's eye view of things that are probably going right, probably going wrong. Probably going wrong.
What's going right? Can you tell me?
I am not here to answer that question. You're here to answer questions.
I mean, anybody. I don't care. If you can tell me one thing that's going right, I'll be more than happy to understand and know. Anybody, please. Open challenge. Any congressmen or women here?
No, I'm not looking for you guys to answer. Don't worry about it. No, but do you really feel that the break really helps?
Absolutely. In fact, see, ఉన్నదున్నట్టు చెప్పాలి, 10 years के बाद even we take things for granted. I have to give it, see, not only people take us for granted, we also took people for granted. नहीं ये तो है, वो चलेगा, नहीं ये छोटा मिस्टेक हुआ, क्या फ़र्क पड़ता, फ़र्क पड़ेगा. Every small little thing matters. So therefore, I think it's a good, very good break for both of us, both people of Telangana and us. We get to introspect, we get to see what course correction we need to do. We have to figure out why things went wrong, why things didn't pan out the way we did, what are the mistakes we committed. See, I can't blame people alone. Definitely we also made mistakes. We are humans, yeah. End of the day, all of us, every single day we are going to make mistakes. Every single day we are going to make some errors. And if we are going to assume and presume that, we are all demigods or gods and we are going to be always on the top, you are fools, absolute fools. So wear all these things very lightly. In my opinion, I think if you start taking yourself too seriously, I find it very funny that Indian politicians, for that matter, take themselves so seriously that they can't even take a joke on themselves. Stand-up comedy shows are becoming the biggest challenge to politicians in India. How dumb is that? How lame is that? So I used to enjoy all these late night comedies in the US, like David Letterman, Jon Stewart. I enjoyed them like ribbing all the politicians. So what I would say is, this is a great break. This is a great opportunity for me to look at what went wrong, connect with my colleagues, go back to people, try to figure out what needs to be done properly. If I come back victorious, well and good. Even if I don't, no matter. Because end of the day, you have to realize there are only two outcomes possible. Either you win or you lose. Be prepared for both. It's okay. You have to take life with equanimity.
You were the mauled minister, right?
I was a what?
Mauled
Yes.
minister.
You called me a mauled minister. I was like, damn, who mauled me?
Roads still flooding. How are we handling monsoon?
Monsoon, well, firstly, thank you for reminding me that I was the mauled minister. Yes, I was. I am not the mauled minister anymore. The mauled minister now is the chief minister. I have to tell you one thing, honestly. We came out with several initiatives, we did several things, but like I said, Rome was not built in a day. A city like Hyderabad, where you have come in for a limited period of time, you have done certain things, but no one, can give you a definitive answer. See, today, when it rains, you will not like me saying this. When it rains, even New York floods, by the way. I mean, I love New York. I was there. I lived there for a bit. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. When it floods, there are several cities in the world which also flood, which also get, inundated. Fact is, significant improvements have been made. But fact also is, there's so much more room also to do. For example, 3 things in Hyderabad which I wish I did better. I'll confess. 1, I wish that I could have revamped the entire drainage and sewerage system of Hyderabad, but it would cost me 30,000 plus crores, by the way. I did not have that kind of money. I did some chunks of it. I started with Strategic Nala Development Program, spent a few thousand crores, but I did not get around to completing the entire city. That's one of the things I wish I did. 2, I wish I had completed not just 70 kilometers of metro, but probably another 200 kilometers. That is second thing I wish I had done better. And more important than connecting just metro or completing metro, I wish the first and last miles of metro. Because we all take subways in New York, tube in London, whenever we travel. But we're hesitant when it comes to our Indian public transport systems. Why? Because the first mile and last mile is always the challenge. Once you get off, how am I going to get to work, or how am I going to get to home, right? With absolute security and safety. The third thing I wish, which I did better in Hyderabad, was, of course, we did a lot of infrastructure improvements, but we continued with the policy of previous government. Back then, Dr. Y.S. Rajshekar Reddy and Congress government in 2004-05, they went for this unlimited FSI option. We continued with it because we were a new state. We didn't want to change anything which should probably hurt the real estate industry, the construction industry. So we persisted with it. I wish we had kept some developmental regulations. I wish we had kept some zones where certain restrictions were placed. So these are the 3 things I would say. I do feel that I could have done better, I should have done better. But hopefully we'll get another chance, and hopefully I'll work on all these 3 and maybe make a much more better Hyderabad.
One final question before we open it up to the audience. You built EHA, and now the current government is moving the offices into it. So what are all the initiatives that you started, right? What's still surviving, and what hurts you that it's not surviving?
Nothing much. And honestly, see, governance is a continuous institution. You're not permanent. None of us are permanent. So to assume or presume that I've built something and therefore it belongs to me is silly, because it is a government institution. Now, how the subsequent government wants to run it, how the subsequent leadership wants to run it, is up to them. If they want to mess with it, make a mess of it, it's their headache, not mine.
Does it hurt you?
A little bit. It pinches. It doesn't hurt. It does pinch, but that's okay. That's part of life. There are a lot of things that you don't like in life. A lot of things where you feel, things should not be done in a certain way. But you have to make do. See, a lot of times your children will do some things that you may not like, but you may not be comfortable with. But what do? Move on, right? Get used to it. Cheers. Thank you.
Let's move on to the audience. Bharat, you have a question, right? Can we have somebody to come up? Can I also request one green tea, please? I made
I know this is very cold.
Can I get somebody? Thank you.
Hi.
Thank
Guys,
you.
good evening. I'm Bharat Kovada from Vizag. I'm second gen entrepreneur in my family business of B2G for commodities. So first thing I would like to say is I'm genuinely awestruck seeing you every time, anytime in an interview or photo, wherever it is from last 2016 or something like that. What you've done for Hyderabad and three years from this generation of millennials, I would say, we understood what a visionary leader could do or what someone with true vision could actually achieve. So my first question, or my only question is, by any chance, is it conceivable that we would see you as Prime Minister of India in the future?
Wait for 2029. I'm kidding. Modi ji, I'm kidding. No, I'll tell you what. I think, Bharat, I'll tell you, you are a young man. You're still laughing. You're a young man. What I would advise you or anybody even who wants to make a career in whatever field they pick. Firstly, thank you so much for all the kind words. Really, really gracious of you. You didn't have to say it. And by the way, I'm not paying you. I will tell you one thing. Positions or success have to be a byproduct of a pursuit. You cannot say that I want to be there sitting in that chair and therefore that is my goal, I'm going to work towards it. Rather than that, I think in whatever field you pick, pursue excellence, pursue success, pursue the epitome of whatever it is that defines success. Once you're going towards it, if that chair, it could be the chief ministry, it could be whatever, if it finds you, so be it. If it doesn't, so what? At least you found success and you're happy in your own. See, contentment is about what you feel inside. Some people have become chief ministers, but they're still not happy. What is the bloody point, man? If you're going to still crib and complain and, moan every single day, what were you doing? What are you doing? What are you complaining about? So I would say, I think contentment is more personal. So I'm not chasing any chair. That's not the gig I'm in. I'm happy where I am, doing something that I like, and hopefully success will come my way, and hopefully chairs also will come my way at some point.
Bansi, can you have your question, please?
I'm sorry, what's the name?
Bansi.
Bansit.
Hi, I'm Bansi.
Hi.
So,
What does your name mean, Bansit?
So it's a different take on Momsi. So I was
On what?
It's a different take on Momsi.
Vamsi.
So I'm a Telugu guy from Vijayawada, but I was born in Bombay.
Born in Bombay or Bengal? Only Bengalis make V a B. When did Mumbaikars
So
make
my
it?
granddad had a Bihari colleague, and he's the one. I ended up getting this name.
కాదు వంశీ కాదు వంశీ కాదు మహారాష్ట్రలో పుడితే అది వి బాగా ఆగకూడదు ఫస్ట్ రెండోది బిహారీ ఫ్రెండ్ ఉంటే కూడా అది వి బాగా ఆగకూడదు దట్ బిహారీ యాక్చువల్లీ ఈజ్ ఎ బెంగాలీ ఫిగర్ అవుట్
Cooperative federalism,
ఎస్
So yeah, as a second-gen entrepreneur and a long-time resident of Hyderabad and with interest in both Andhra and Telangana, I find a lot of what you've spoken about today related. So my question was, although Telangana and Andhra Pradesh have charted separate paths since 2014, their economies are very closely still interlinked. If a multinational today was evaluating a significant investment and the final decision came down to Andhra or Telangana, what do you think would be Telangana's strongest differentiator? Also, where would you acknowledge Andhra Pradesh has structural advantages? And beyond competition, what can the two states do together to ensure that investment comes to our region rather than we lose out to another state or maybe another country like Vietnam?
Okay, firstly, I'll tell you what, no two states in India are alike. No two states actually have the same advantage. See, each of us have our own strengths, each of us has our own deficiencies. So, Telangana is a landlocked state. We don't have a coastal line. Andhra has more than 1,000 kilometers of coastline. So, it depends on the sector that you're talking about. See, for example, if you're talking about a manufacturing piece. Now, this manufacturer, are they going to airlift or are they going to use sea waters for transportation? Depends on that. So the proximity to a port will also determine what kind of location they'll choose. And secondly, I think, like I said, the engagement typically with states has to be bilateral. So what advantages Andhra will offer, what advantages Telangana will offer, again, it will hinge on what policy support you'll also be offering. See, for example, if somebody wants to set up, just thinking out loud, a solar manufacturing plant, a solar panel manufacturing plant. Now, you could set it up anywhere. You could set it up in Andhra, Telangana. In such a situation, the toss-up will be what kind of returns I'd get. If I invest in Telangana, what kind of returns I would get if I invest in Andhra. I'll tell you one thing though, Vamsi. Nobody invests just because Lokesh happens to be a friend or KTR happens to be a friend or somebody else happens to be a friend. Nobody will invest. Because every businessman or woman is thinking about longer term. Because ultimately, your investment is going to outlast any government that there is going to be. And you would want policy continuity, you would want continued returns. So therefore, it will entirely hinge on that particular investment category and nothing else. Now, what are the things I would want to steal from some other states and bring it to either Andhra or Telangana? I'd say probably investments in technology front, because now that is going to be the future, whether I like it or not, whether anyone likes it or not. I think tech-enabled ecosystems are the way forward. Technology is permeating into all spheres of life. There is no sphere which is exempt. So therefore, I would say semiconductors or AI-driven newer opportunities that are emanating, all of these are some things that I would like to steal, but I don't think there is any state from which I would like to steal anything at this point. I think we're doing rather well, Andhra and Telangana. I hope we continue to be the numero uno two states. Numero uno being Telangana, two being Andhra, of course.
Suresh, can you have a question?
My question to you. My question to you would be, how is AI going to have impact on IT job market in Hyderabad? Since Hyderabad is majorly dependent on IT job, and what would be the vice versa effect on the other industries like housing sector and everything? And if you were in power, how would you shape the policy for it?
Well, we declared year 2020, the year COVID hit us, as the year of AI back in 2020. 6 years back, we saw that AI is one area which is going to really reshape the way technology is going to be looked at by people at large, by industry verticals. So we thought this would be a great opportunity for Telangana, and we declared 2020 as the year of AI. So we tried to attract significant investments. We even announced the launch of AI City, but unfortunately in COVID 2020 and 2021, everything got derailed. That's a fact. Now, how do I see AI affecting technology industry? You can already see the effect, because government of Telangana has recently admitted in the governor's address and even in the address of the finance minister in the budget speech that the number of jobs have come down in Hyderabad. When we left office, it was 9.46 lakh IT jobs in Hyderabad. But recently, government of Telangana has admitted that the number of jobs currently is 9.39 lakh. About 7,000 jobs have come down already. Now, this is despite all the new GCCs coming in. This is despite all the new investments that have come in. So there is definitely an impact. And it does drive a scare once in a while. You know, when you see Oracle laying off 30,000 people in one go, it drives a scare. It makes you feel a bit insecure. But the fact is, I think AI is also opening up a lot of new vistas, a lot of new frontiers. And what they are, of course, it's a very dynamic field right now. It's really opening up a lot more avenues. So I would say invest in more skilling, invest in ensuring that our youngsters are equipped with more and more knowledge. Because the other day I was talking to a pharma company, a large pharma company senior manager. So I said, I asked him, I said, how do you think AI is going to affect your industry? What are the jobs that are going to be affected? So he simply said, we have more than a few hundred documentation writers today in my company. I am not going to be needing them a couple of years from now, because AI is going to do the job for me. He said, I have more than 40 legal professionals working for me. I think I can make do with probably 5 or 6. So without even touching the core, manufacturing or research and development, I probably can get rid of 10% of my workforce. See, the point is, while we are all considerate, while we are all concerned about the loss of jobs, fact is nobody is in the business for charity. Ultimately, you're answerable to a board. Ultimately, you're answerable to your investors who are looking for a bottom line, who are looking for returns. And when Oracle laid off 30,000 people, but their returns, if you look at the stock prices, they went up by 6%. Their revenues have increased by $7 to $8 billion. So, end of the day, businesses are driven by business concerns, and so you'll have to live with the fact, adapt to the new situation, adapt to the new world order, and engage in skilling, engage in newer activity, engage in finding new frontiers which AI is going to create.
Before we move on to the next question, I'm really appreciating this.
Thank you.
We have Vinodji. Is that? Just give us 1 second, please, before you ask.
No, go on.
Good evening, sir. And
Good evening, sir.
pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
The most dynamic, admirable leader of Telangana after Babu Garu.
You will be jailed for saying that. Be prepared.
Myself, Vinod Kumar Agarwal, Managing Director of Benfield Group. We are into steel, logistics.
Will you vote for me if I run against Modi ji?
Sorry,
Nothing, I'm kidding.
we are into steel, logistics, power, investment and leasing, and cement. We have 8 manufacturing units in Telangana, in 5 backward districts of Telangana, employing more than 2,500 people directly
Thank you, sir.
and contributing by way of taxes and uplifting social economic development of our district where our plants are based. I am also the chair of Energy Committee of Federation Telangana of Chamber of Commerce and Industry. As energy man, this is the era of green energy, renewable energy. The question from many members of our federation is, when all the states of India, various states, our neighboring states, are embracing energy, green energy and giving approval to all the trade, commerce and industry openly. We are Telangana is lagging behind in this. After a clean and green energy policy from January 2020 till now, no application has been approved. How can you help to get this approval fast and make it open for the progress of Telangana and the future of Telangana for cost effective, more employment, more business? That is my question.
Thank you, Vinodji. Firstly, thank you for giving 2,500 people. I think that deserves 8 factories in Telangana. Thank you. I hope we continue to grow. I hope we continue to also employ more and more people. Now, coming to green energy, I think it's one of the most important discussions that we've had over the last couple of decades, because that has been a breath of fresh air.
For the last couple of decades, because that has been a breath of fresh air. Today, when I see electric vehicles running all around, it is really, really heartening, because we've all been tired. I was once in college, riding a motorcycle. कोई बस के पीछे गए तो गुप बोल के वो जब मारता है ना मुंह पे, तो आपको तो पता ही है कि कितना कार्बन एमिशन होता है. You get a first hand exposure, आपको भी पता होगा. तो इसीलिए मैं कहता हूँ electric vehicles of course are the future, hydrogen powered vehicles are of course the future. So therefore any forms of renewable energy are more than welcome, and that is why we brought the EV storage policy, EV policy when we were in government. Now coming to this current government, अगर आपको लगता है कि मेरे कहने से कुछ होगा, मैं बस इतना ही आपसे कहूँगा कि अगर मैं कहूँगा कि रेवंत रेड्डी जी ये करो तो वो नहीं करेंगे, तो मैं ऐसा करूँगा आपके लिए, नहीं मैं ऐसा करूँगा आपके लिए कि मैं उनको चिट्ठी लिखूँगा कि भाई ये ना करो, तो वो ज़रूर करेंगे. तो मैं ज़रूर आपके लिए एक खत लिखूँगा उनको. नहीं, मजाक छोड़िए. अगर आप मुझे कुछ पॉइंट दे देंगे हम आपके आनंद के ज़रिए, तो अगले असेंबली सेशन में सवाल करेंगे, पूछेंगे. अभी ऑपोजिशन में है तो सवाल करना हमारी जिम्मेदारी है और जवाब देना उन पे निर्भर है. तो उम्मीद है कि 2 साल बाद इस सवाल में यहाँ पे बैठ के आपको गवर्नमेंट के नाते आपको दूँ और कुछ ढंग का जवाब दूँ. मेरा सवाल ये था विनोद जी, क्योंकि आप सुने नहीं, अगर मैं मोदी जी के खिलाफ लड़ूं तो आप मुझे सपोर्ट करोगे? मजाक कर रहा हूँ यार, जवाब नहीं मांग रहा था यार। थैंक यू बड़े भाई, थैंक यू।
Let's stick to the question, please, because there are a lot of questions.
Very important one.
Sure, please, so absolutely.
So, good evening. My name is Dheeraj Ketan.
हाय धीरज जी।
I am from textile background. So we are the largest exporter from Telangana state in volume. In multi-product segment, we won many awards. Silver, gold award from Ministry of Commerce, New Delhi via FIO. So my question is that we put second textile spinning mill unit in Jadcherla, and we signed agreement 2016-17 in Warangal, MOU, under new textile policy, and we are giving 2 units together 1,500 employment. So thing is that we got small deviation when we started our unit in Corona period, 2020 onwards. So still I am struggling to get my incentives. That time also still there. So whereas other states are giving very fast incentive, third month, fifth, our counterpart Gujarat, they are giving fifth month, third month we are applying, fifth month they are automatically getting incentive. But so far I am unable to get my incentive. It is gone up to 70-80 crore rupees. So how should I collect that incentives? And that is the main thing.
मैं ऐसा करूँगा,
वो जो मेरा फ्रेंड है वो 3 यूनिट लगा दिया, और जो मैं 1 यूनिट है वो 1 यूनिट में मेरा फाइनेंशियल बहुत डाउन हो गया। तो वो हो सकता है जो भी गलती हुई हो, हम लोग चाहते हैं तो वो लोग बोलते हैं आपने इंसेंटिव देख के यूनिट थोड़ी लगाया, आपने इंसेंटिव देख के यूनिट लगाया क्या? हम बोल भाई इट इज एफआर, इट इज एवरी स्टेट इज गिविंग, व्हाई यू आर नॉट गिविंग, व्हाई यू आर नॉट गिविंग ऑन टाइम हियर, व्हाई somebody else one and my unit together started, they got 100 crores, why 60 crores still pending? So how should we solve this type of problem? My file is moving direct to ministry to secretariat, the secretariat is sending back, again it is going to again secretariat. Still I mean like sorry, this is taking positive.
Question, I think you should ask me the question.
Delay in incentive only.
Is there something you like to say?
yes of course, welcome to Congress government. मैं क्या बोलूँ, सॉरी यार खेतान साहब, माफ़ी चाहता हूँ, मैं आई वाज बीइंग नहीं माफ़ी चाहता हूँ, आई वाज बीइंग फ्लिपेंट, बट कुछ दोस्त अभी भी है मेरे गवर्नमेंट में। आप डिटेल दे दो, कोशिश तो करूंगा मैं, वादा नहीं कर पाऊंगा कि मैं नहीं, वादा नहीं करूंगा कि मैं कुछ करूंगा, बट कोशिश करूंगा।
मेरा रिस्पॉन्स का डिवीजन का वो क्लियर हो गया, मेरा एक छोटा सा डिवीजन हो गया।
थैंक यू। जरा डिटेल ले लो यार, कोई डिटेल लेके दे यार, सीरियसली आई विल ट्राई एटलीस्ट, लेट्स सी। हेलो सर।
So we spoke about the water problem in EHA, right? But is there anything else you want to ask beyond that?
Sir. Thank you, very kind of you, very kind.
Okay. Oh, Ajay is on. Okay, yeah. Please go.
Hi, this is Vinod from Cadence Reality. So first of all, thanks for your contribution towards Hyderabad growth and Telangana during your tenure.
కాదు మీ తెలుగు వస్తుందా?
Yeah.
అందరూ పొగిడితే కాక ఇదేదో మనం మ్యాచ్ ఫిక్సింగ్ చేసుకుని పెట్టుకుని ఉంటుంది. కాదు ఇలా పొగిడితే అందరూ రేపు నన్ను అందరూ అంటారు ఇదంతా మ్యాచ్ ఫిక్సింగ్ చేసి ఇలాంతా పెట్టుకుని, ఎవరన్నా కొన్ని తిట్టండి, తిడితేనన్నా అప్పుడు డౌట్ రాకుండా ఉంటుంది. మరి అందరూ పొగిడితే ఎట్లా స్వామి? సీరియస్లీ. Now go on.
My question to you is, present government is focusing more on fourth city in big scale. So when you come into power next time, are you going to change back to something else, or are you going to continue?
No, boss, I'll tell you what. I think I'll request Honorable Chief Minister to focus on present city. Future city can wait. प्रेजेंट सिटी थोड़ा शैम्बल्स में है। प्रेजेंट सिटी जो है जिसमें हम प्रेजेंट है, हम अगर एब्सेंट हो जाएंगे तो गड़बड़ हो जाएगा। सो आई थिंक प्रेजेंट सिटी नीड्स टू बी द प्रायोरिटी, नंबर 1। नंबर 2, इट वाज ऑलवेज हैदराबाद फार्मा सिटी, लैंड एक्विजिशन देयर वाज कंडीशनल। सो अगर आप उसको लेके अगर आप रियल एस्टेट करोगे, अगर उसमें आप अगर वनतारा जू लगाओगे, बेवकूफ़ी है, सिंपल। सो आई वुड से हैदराबाद फार्मा इंडस्ट्री नीड्स अ लेग अप. That's why we were building the world's largest pharma cluster, and it should be the world's largest pharma cluster as it was proposed, because otherwise it's against the act, otherwise it's against the principles of land acquisition. Any court of law will, and anybody who wants to invest there, you will be in a soup. Don't blame me later. You will be in a soup. If you're wanting to invest in the so-called future city, it is basically a scam, a sham. It is a real estate scam. So I humbly appeal to all of you. We will come back to government and it will be a pharma city there. So please don't accuse me later. Don't accuse me later that I did not tell you. मैं आज बोल रहा हूँ, कल मैं सोशल मीडिया में भी डाल दूँगा. ठीक है?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello, Andy. So my question is, you rightly pointed out already that geo sector entrepreneur. So close to 40 to 50% of a project budget, it actually goes into land procurement, building, and the non-productive capital, right? Power and everything. And 25% of our time in the first year, it actually goes into dealing with various governments and departments. So for an SME or MSME, and you want to attract manufacturing companies, this is the biggest barrier. So what is your take on having a plug and play for a manufacturing kind of companies?
Well, I'll tell you what, the only real solution, and I'm being absolutely candid, I'm not even talking for any kind of electoral gains or anything. The only real solution possible to solve this problem, because see, our cities are magnets. They don't need anybody to sell them. People will continue to flock because educational opportunities, healthcare opportunities, employment opportunities, what they offer, no other suburban or rural setting can ever offer to our citizens. So therefore people will continue to migrate, people will continue to urbanize, suburbanize, etc. So Hyderabad, now when somebody says Hyderabad, how do you define Hyderabad today? Unfortunately, the geographical boundaries also are now very loosely defined. I would say everything within ORR is Hyderabad now. That's how big it has become. But how do you then solve the problem of this urbanization? How do you ensure that the infrastructure doesn't crumble and become a nightmare, right? The only solution I can think of is better public transport. One, of course, metro, better connectivity, better road, better metro rail, better bus, rapid transport systems. But most importantly, I do not for a minute, for a second, believe that the day is not far when India will have rapid rail transit systems, where my friend here is from Adilabad, all the way 300 kilometers? 320. 320 kilometers is where Adilabad is. The day is not far, my friend, when I can hop into a train in Hyderabad, I can get down in Adilabad within 1.5 hours. Now that is the day this problem will be addressed. The day is not far when I'm getting into a train in Hyderabad, getting in Vijayawada within 1 hour. That will happen over the course of next 10 years. State governments, union governments, private sector will have to invest in rapid rail systems. Only then, it does not matter where you live, where you work. It becomes a toss-up between cost versus quality of living. So then what happens is I can continue to live in Adilabad in my 600 square yard villa, come to Hyderabad, because anyway I'm stuck in Hyderabad for 1 hour in the traffic. So I might as well spend that time productively in my train, get my work done, get my job done, because I used to live in New Jersey and commute to New York. Same is the story here. So eventually the day is not far. In 10 to 15 years max, you will have rapid rails running through the country, and this problem of one city being overburdened will go away, but you'll have to wait for me to come back to power to make that happen.
Hello sir, good evening. We welcome you here. It's been a nice evening, and thank you for keeping the session jovial and interactive. So I'm from a manufacturing background. So just I have a quick question. For an entrepreneur, so close to 40 to 50% of a project budget, it actually goes into land procurement, building, and the non-productive capital, right? Power and everything. And 25% of our time in the first year, it actually goes into dealing with various governments and departments. So for an SME or MSME, and you want to attract manufacturing companies, this is the biggest barrier. So what is your take on having a plug and play for a manufacturing kind of companies?
That's exactly what we try to create by way of Hyderabad Pharma City, by way of Kakatiya Mega Textile Park. If you look at our Sultanpur Medical Devices Park, See, the government has to be the enabler, the government has to create all the infrastructure. And then if we bring in a private party to basically create industrial workhouses, industrial sheds, industrial warehouses, where you can just come in and plug and play. I've created this in Sirsila, in case you want to see. Entire apparel park has been built. I now have Gokuldas, I now have Green Needle, who are manufacturing in Sirsila and who are exporting to America, United States of America. So I think the ideal situation is when government can take up that 75% of the hassle, what you just mentioned, of having to deal with numerous parties, of having to procure land, etc. Government has to take away that, headache from you and give you the land on a platter. That's the one thing. The second thing I'll also tell you, I think private sector as well has to start investing more in these kind of, plug and play facilities. Sri City in Andhra is a great example. Sri City was a private initiative. I think it was a private sector driven initiative, which has done tremendously well for the state of Andhra Pradesh. So I think both government and private sector need to work hand in hand, and government has to incentivize any private sector player who's wanting to create such large scale facilities. That's the only solution, my friend. If you have to compete on scale, and if economies of scale have to be brought in, that is the only way we are going to be able to compete with large manufacturing countries like China and others. Cheers.
So by the way, our unit is located in Sultanpur.
Fantastic.
So it's a very, the infrastructure is good. But I was kind of hoping the plug and play means we just go with the machine and start running.
I know. Yes, agreed.
Thank you, answer.
Cheers.
Karthik Patel.
Yeah.
Hey,
Sure.
Here's my doubts. So now, I may be
Any
wrong,
serious question ledutara na?
I may be wrong, but it's a generic observation to see that the civic sense of the city is slowly going down. Wrongly parked cars, drunk people here and there, road rages, street sales.
Are you talking about New York? Or? Are you talking about New York?
No, Hyderabad.
Guru, కాదు గురు నువ్వు ఎక్కడన్నా పో ప్రపంచంలో సివిక్ సెన్స్ వేరియింగ్ డిగ్రీస్లో ఉంటుంది. సారీ, హిందీ. సివిక్ సెన్స్ is a relative subject. It's a relative comfort also. So you will see homeless people on the streets of San Francisco. You will see people begging on the streets of New York in subways. You will see people begging and stealing in London. I'm saying it's all relative. Hyderabad, India, of course, I completely agree. We drive on the wrong side of the road. There are no footpaths. There are plenty of things that are wrong. But don't live in this make-believe world that the rest of the world is all hunky-dory and we are the only idiots in the world. We are bigger idiots. They are lesser idiots. That's all the difference is.
Yes. No, I of course agree with you that what I'm stating right now is...
And I'm going to be trolled for this tomorrow for calling our people bigger idiots. But sorry.
So, two-part question. So, can the government consider empowering the citizens to report the problems which encompasses or corresponds to a mandatory response from the government? So, at least a part fix or a fix is applied. Now, the second part, which is more like a baby solution to a mega problem, like tow truck movement in our city, unlike foreign countries, where is very low. So isn't this like a good solution to a major problem like misdriving or parking in the wrong spot? It's like a very easy solution. So is there a way we as citizens can just ask the government to do this?
I think you probably answered your question partly. See, there are things we tried, honestly. When I was municipal minister and this parking problem was an issue, so I put out a new policy. I took out a new initiative. I said, anybody who has a vacant plot within GHMC, we are going to certify, we are going to give you a license. Instead of your plot sitting vacant, you can start earning money. You can basically use it as a parking space. And then you can basically, it's licensed by GHMC, so you'll get paid and you'll make money. I said, please come forward and then we'll sign together and we'll make a big splash and make sure that it's a win-win situation. Guess how many people showed up? 0. I said to my team, why people don't want to do this? Somebody said they don't trust government, sir, with their plots. Fact is, in our country, government is looked at as an entity which is apart from us. We don't feel that government is us. We elected them. We feel like they're an animal which is different from us, where they are very, untrustworthy, we can't trust them, that sort of a thing. But fact is, if people actually work with government, irrespective of who's running it, things will be better. But governments also have to be responsive. Like you said, if I send a suggestion, if I receive a response, it's a great feeling. Okay, my government is listening to me. So one of the things I did, brother, when I was minister, I saw this very interesting thing. See, people need to feel that my tax money is being paid, put to good use. So I used to see this banners, posters in the US, your tax dollars at work, when you go through various parts of the US. So when I came back and I became the MNUD minister, I instituted something very similar, your tax rupees at work, putting up hoardings wherever you have flyovers or metro work happening, putting up those banners saying your tax rupees at work. These are the taxes you pay, things are happening. So when this trust starts building, the trust deficit starts eroding, that's when things start happening. And unfortunately, your question about civic sense is a great one, but Japanese, for example, they see, the people in this room are already damaged goods, if you ask me. We're all adults, we're damaged, we are beyond repair. Nobody can change us, our habits, because beyond the age of 20, nobody changes really. So you have to catch them young. You have to catch kids in primary school, upper primary school, institute a sense of discipline in them, tell them this is the way civilized societies behave. This is how civilized countries work. This is how civilized people, live with each other. Unless that happens, India is going to be the way it is. Unfortunately, I'm not going to give you a sugar-coated answer. We have a long way to go before we get to that stage. Cheers.
Thanks, Karthik.
I don't know what is there to cheer about, but cheers. Hi.
Sir, this is Ashwath. I run a travel services company called Amavi.
Talent services. Travel services.
So being in the business for about a decade now, and I see many of our Indians traveling abroad. There's more interest to travel outside the country than travel within the country, and I see how cities like Paris and Barcelona attract more tourists in a year than the entire country of India does. So, and I have also been in the events space. In fact, you attended one of the events that I was organizing called the Harvard Model United Nations.
Yes.
So, Hyderabad as a city was primed to be a great MICE destination, and something went wrong along the way. I think we as a city have huge potential to be one of those global top 10 cities, bringing in people from all over the world. And I don't want us to compare to the rest of India, like you rightly said, there are 28 different prisons. So what can we do to get there, to be top 10?
Well, firstly, I think one of the most important questions that we as a country need to answer, why do people not want to travel within the country? See, today, even destinations like Goa are going down in terms of number of people visiting them. People are preferring Sri Lanka and people are preferring Thailand, people are preferring Vietnam over Goa. Why? The cost of travel, cost of stay, cost of even staying for a few days there. That has gone up humongously within India. Why are these other destinations so much more attractive? Not just cost, quality. Today, I was in Sri Lanka with my friends, I think last month or the month before. I was amazed. The country is so clean, so beautiful, the beaches are so pretty, and then not many people to disturb. I mean, like, there is not hawkers trying to disturb you or irritate you. Or there are certain facets in India that need to be fixed. Until they are fixed, this is a problem that is going to persist. Despite having some of the most amazing things in the world, we are still going to be worried. See, again, I have to confess, I have never visited the northeast of India. In my own country, I have not visited maybe 15 to 16 states so far. There are only 28 states in India. I went to Rajasthan for the first time 6 months ago. So yes, unfortunately, there is a long way to go. But I think mostly private sector, again, being given more opportunities by the government. For example, just to give you an example, Krishna is a beautiful river that runs between Andhra and Telangana. If you look at the stretch between, where Krishna enters Telangana and all the way goes up to Srisailam. It's supposedly, again, I've never been on the waterfront, that is, or on the yacht or a boat there. Some of my friends who've been there told me it's as good as the Amazon, river yachts, etc. Now, these are the things that unfortunately we have not explored. Even my government, I'm confessing, we have not done enough on tourism. That is something that I would like to absolutely fix. But it's not going to be, see, Kerala, for example, has done a brilliant job. It attracts number of tourists, God's own country, the branding, the way they've gone about creating these houseboats, creating an aspiration for people to go and stay there. So you need some symbolic things that people should want to do. Like they say that Insta goals, right? Insta-worthy photographs, Insta-worthy, reels, all these things. You have to create that aspiration. Unfortunately, our governments, our private sector, none of us are doing a good job in terms of promoting it.
Marketing the issue, like you example of Kerala.
Absolutely. Marketing is the issue. And governments understanding that these are great employment creators, employment generators is also another issue. I think these are the two things. Long way to go again, not easy.
Sidhu, can we have your question, please?
Good evening, sir. This
Hi.
is Sindhu. I run an overseas education consulting company. But my question is...
When did Sidhu Jonalgadda become like this?
I'm Sindhu Surabhi.
I'm kidding. Bad joke. This was the kind of bad joke I told you about.
We as taxpayers, we are paying taxes, businesses are paying taxes, but we see that...
What kind of business do you run, ma'am?
I run a construction company as well as I'm into overseas education consulting.
Okay.
So we pay taxes and the government invests the taxes in welfares and investments, and lately we've been seeing that most of the money is going to welfares, and also there's a lot of debt burden on the government. Although leaders like you want to execute, but they require money in the future to execute it. How do we break this cycle in Telangana? And I wonder, and I really worry for my kids as well, that what happens to them, because they pay taxes, and what happens? How do we break this cycle?
Sindhu, firstly, thank you. Great question. This will require a bit of detailed answering. Give me the opportunity, because it's a very, very good question. A lot of you guys, in your mind, you're thinking, I'm paying all the taxes, then there is somebody else who's enjoying the freebies. I've heard this enough times from my friends as well. So let me answer this question. Like I was telling you a few minutes ago, India's per capita income is $2,777. Just as a comparison, the United States is at almost $90,000, almost 30 times bigger than us. So when people make comparisons, saying these freebies are bad, etc., I would tell you two things. One, we are a country of almost 150 crore people, where in our state, Telangana, 90% of the people, according to government, are below the poverty line, because we issue white ration cards, cards which are basically denoting that you are below the poverty line. So therefore, where do you draw the line and say, okay, how do I balance between a welfare and development, right? Two parts to the answer, Sindhu. One, from a very early stage, all of us in the society are made to believe that taking a loan is bad. Debt free is good. Debt undagudu. Appunte, appu chesi pappu kudu tinagudu. I'll tell you one thing though. Show me one person in this room, one single person who does not have a debt. Anyone? Nigleda? Itla ante doubt vachindi. Anybody? Somebody raise their hand there. What do you do, sir? You are an exception. I'll come to you. So there is one guy. No, you also? Good. So there are two people in this room. I was thinking there would be none. But Sindhu, the point is, how much debt is good? That's what needs to be defined. You will not believe me, but go back and do your homework. Talk to ChatGPT, Grok, whatever you use, Gemini, whatever. Debt is always calculated against your GSDP or GDP or your company's ultimate, turnover, right? So as a measure against GDP, India's debt today is at 58 or 59%. Last time I looked up. United States is at 200%. Japan is at again 200%. France is about 120 odd percent. Some of the largest economies in the world, even though they are not growing as fast as India is, their debt rate is quite high. Does that mean it's bad? Does that mean it's a bad debt? Does that mean it's terrible? What's happening? Compared to that, again, drawing back to Telangana, our debt to GSDP ratio is currently, I think, around 28, 29. Compared to India as well, we are half, less than half in fact. So the point, Sindhu, is this concern, this overt fear psychosis that is created that we are in a debt trap, how do we come out of this? It's absolute nonsense for a growing economy. As long as you're growing, as long as you're raising a debt to invest in a productive sector, no appu teeskoni, if you're putting it in a creative, productive sector where it is going to pay off, if you're creating an infrastructure investment like metro, like power, like drinking water, like irrigation, it's a great debt because it's going to pay off big time. But if you're going to take a debt and dump it for a loan waiver or for something that is going to be revenue expenditure, then it's bad debt. So what you have to think is my government, whatever debt they are actually raising, is it going into the right sector, productive sector or unproductive sector? And the second thing I'll tell you, as long as you have the paying capacity, and in India we are guided by FRBM restrictions, fiscally responsible budgetary management restrictions, there is an act by Parliament. So no, Union government does not allow us to borrow beyond a point. They always put an embargo. They say, okay, you can't borrow beyond this because this is your limit. These are the FRBM limits. That's why we keep going to Government of India saying, boss, relaxation de do, hame karna hai. But the funny thing is, Union government that has imposed all these restrictions on us, the states, has amended the FRBM Act 20 times to suit itself. When it wanted to raise it, it amends. That's beside the point. The second thing I'll tell you, in a country like India, why did KCR Garu give a 2,000 rupee pension? Why did he jack it up from 200 to 2,000? What was the need? Why are we giving money for marriages of poor young girls? The way you have to think, Sindhu, is in a country like India, if you do not take care of the basics, where the per capita is $2,777, if you do not take care of the basic needs of an absolutely underprivileged guy, he is going to end up becoming a restless citizen. Restlessness will lead to lawlessness, and it's going to be detrimental to the entire country, entire nation. So as a measure of social cohesiveness, as a measure to bring social cohesiveness, as a measure to control this social unrest, governments will have to continue to indulge in making sure that the lowest strata in terms of the food chain is catered to, is addressed. అంటే ఇది మీరు అర్థం చేసుకున్నంత కాలం కొంతమంది మాట్లాడతారు ఫ్రీబీస్ అంటే మనకు సూట్ అయితే ఫ్రీబీ మంచిది, మనకు సూట్ కాకపోతే మంచిది కాదు. అంటే మనకు ఎలక్షన్ వచ్చినప్పుడేమో ఒక్కొక్కరికి లేడీస్కి 10,000 రూపాయలు ఇచ్చి బీహార్లో ఓట్లు వేయించుకోవాలి, కానీ వేరే కాడికి వచ్చేసరికి వేరే వాడు చేస్తే మాత్రం చేయను అంటే అది రైట్ కాదు. నేనేమంటానంటే we keep making these oversimplified comparisons and start saying, but ఇక్కడ లేదు కదా, ఇక్కడ లేదు కదా. యూఎస్లో కూడా అఫర్మేటివ్ యాక్షన్ ఉంది. యూఎస్ ఆల్సో హ్యాస్ అఫర్మేటివ్ యాక్షన్. యూఎస్ ఆల్సో ఆఫర్స్ lot of such SOPs for black run businesses, for minority run businesses, etc., etc. These are things we have to do to bring in a social equity, social parity. But other than that, I'll simply say, don't be worried about debt for your children or for yourself, because as long as the state economy is growing, as long as we continue to invest in the right sectors, as long as we are moving in the right direction, debt is not an issue that can't be addressed by governments. And last thing I'll say on this, individual debt, ఒక ఇండివిజువల్కి ఉండే డెట్కి గవర్నమెంట్ డెట్కి చాలా తేడా ఉంటుంది. గవర్నమెంట్స్ ఆర్ సావరిన్ ఎంటిటీస్, దే ఆర్ నాట్ ఇండివిజువల్స్. సీ ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, వీ కంపేర్ ఒక్కొక్క నెత్తి మీద ఇంత అప్పు ఉందని మాట్లాడతాం. ఫ్యాక్ట్ ఏంటంటే నేనున్నాను, ఐఎమ్ ఎ ఫ్యామిలీ హెడ్. ఇఫ్ సంథింగ్ హ్యాపెన్స్ టు మీ, ద డెట్ బర్డన్ విల్ గో టు మై చిల్డ్రన్ అండ్ మై వైఫ్. బట్ వాట్ విల్ హ్యాపన్ ఇఫ్ a government inherits a debt, next government is going to inherit a debt? Nothing will happen. If the head of the state will go away or change of guard, etc., the subsequent government will have to run it. So it's not like an individual debt can be likened to a government debt. Because these are two very separate things, because it's institution that's continuous. కాబట్టి మనం అంత ఆందోళన పడాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు, అంత భయపడాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు. We are a growing economy, a growing country. The country is also growing at a great speed. States are growing at much better speed. So therefore, I think we should not overtly worry about it. That's what I would say.
Thank you so much. Anil,
Yeah. All your fan call you like Ramana.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I'm Anil Kumar, and chairman of KTC projects. I'm one of the part of your, small part of your lot of Telangana by building the EHA TV and the projects.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
The country is progressing towards Viksit Bharat 2047. Say, what will be the big action plan after you become as a chief minister of Viksit Bharat? What's the mind?
See, I'll tell you what. I don't believe in changing my goalposts. అంటే ఈ మాట అంటున్నాను, మళ్ళీ మీరు అప్సెట్ అయిపోండి. Prime Minister promised several things for 2022. అవి ఏవి అవ్వలేదు. 5 trillion economy అన్నారు, అవ్వలేదు. 2022 apparently farmers' income was supposed to be doubled. Did not happen. 2022 bullet trails were supposed to be running in India. Did not happen. 2022 every home was supposed to have a portable drinking water connection. Did not happen, except in Telangana. 2022 every person was supposed to have a home. In Enjapala idedi kuda. All of these were made, promises were made by Prime Minister Modi. Did any of these actually come true? So conveniently shifting from 2022 to Viksit Bharat 2047 is merely changing goalpost. I would simply say, if there are going to be 28 engines, I don't believe in double engine, I believe in 28 engines working simultaneously and creating a roar like an F1 race. If you are going to compete against another state and roar like an F1 car, and each car is going to race against the other, then you might see something happen in 2047. Or else 2047 వస్తుంది, 57 వస్తుంది, మీరు నేను మాట్లాడుకుంటానే ఉంటాం, ఏమీ అవ్వదు. So unfortunately, I don't subscribe to these goalpost shifting and goalpost creation. I will say, what will I do if I am given the chance? I'll invest in 3 things, boss. The 3I mantra. Believe in the innovative capacity of Indians. Innovation capacity of Indians. Young Indians truly are aspirational. They have global aspirations. Believe in them. Believe in innovation. 2, infrastructure. Infrastructure. No substitute. A lot of people think America has good infrastructure because it is rich. No. America is rich because it has good infrastructure. That's the difference. 3rd thing, inclusive growth. Band karo ye bakwas, Hindu, Muslim, idi, ee kulamu, aa kulamu, bakwas. Country lo boledu samasyalu unnai. దాని మీద ఫోకస్ చేసి అందరిని ఇంక్లూజివ్గా కలుపుకొని పోగలితే ఇన్నోవేషన్, ఇంక్లూజివ్ గ్రోత్, ఇన్ఫ్రాస్ట్రక్చర్, ఈ 3 చేస్తే అప్పుడు మీరు ఏం పేరు పెట్టుకున్నా చేయొచ్చు. థ్యాంక్ యూ. And sorry if I upset any Modi fans here.
Sir, your question was very similar to this. Did you get the answer that you wanted? Did you want to start that?
Good evening, sir.
Hi.
My name is Aditya Saha. I am into intellectual property. So I'm from the state of Tripura, and I've been living in the city for over a decade. I really like how we led the governance in the last term. I think that is somewhere along the time I felt this was the city for me. So my question to you was, if you had to write Hyderabad's next growth story from scratch, what is one thing you would change, one thing you would preserve, and one thing you would accelerate?
One thing I would accelerate. One thing I would preserve is the beautiful heritage that Hyderabad has. Unfortunately, I have not done a great job. I have done a few things. Like Mozam Zahi Market, I have done a good job of revamping it. Clock Tower, I have done something. Tank Bund, I have done something. But Hyderabad heritage, Deccan Tombs also I have done something. But Hyderabad heritage needs a huge preservation effort, especially the old city of Hyderabad. Because each time I go to a place like Istanbul or some other place which has got historical relics, you feel bad that we are not doing enough there. So one thing I'd preserve is heritage of Hyderabad. What would I accelerate? Infrastructure creation. I think we have to do it at a breakneck pace. We are not doing enough. We are not doing it fast enough. The one thing I would change, you said. Change?
Yes.
If I'm given a chance to do it from the scratch, you
Yes.
said. I'd probably, what would I change? Yeah, weather. Summer was harsh, so maybe add more greenery, add probably more biodiversity, make it a little more cooler. I think then Bangalore will really have a tough time. Yeah. And by the way, you have to tell me one thing. You're from Tripura, you said.
Yes.
Why did you throw out Manik Sarkar and bring BJP?
Development was required.
Sorry?
More development was required.
And is it happening?
Better than before.
If it is better than before, good for you. Good for you. Cheers.
Last question. Prashant is here.
Hello sir. First of all, I am a huge of KTR Garu. I really like TRS, but I voted for you guys. And I really like you as a politician too. This was a good bad dad joke. Yeah. So my question is, I'm into designing and building of cold storages and warehouses, and I'm very passionate about branding. So in the context, when I first heard about TRS being renamed as TRS in around 2022, I was really heartbroken because I really follow TRS party and really heartbroken. And fast forward 1 or 2 years, you lost the elections. Of course, changing the name cannot be the only reason why you lost elections. But was that a mistake? Changing from TRS to BRS? Question 1. Question 2, will you again change it back from BRS to BRS?
What was your name before that?
Prashant.
Thank you. Firstly, thank you for the love. Thank you. I'm also a big fan of KTR Garu. I'll tell you what.
Success has many fathers. Failure is an orphan. Right? So when you succeed, nothing succeeds like success. Everybody will say, I basically made you win. But when you fail, even though you tried your best, people will still find something which was inadequate, which is the way the world is, right? What I'll tell you, brother, is if you suddenly change your name from Prashant to Prabhas అయిపోతావు నువ్వు అయిపోవు కదా సడన్గా నీకు సినిమా ఆఫర్లు ఊరికే అడుగుతున్నా సడన్గా నీకు ప్రభాస్ లాగా సినిమా ఆఫర్లు రావు కదా పేరులో ఏముంది కాదు డిఎన్ఏ అదే కదా జెండా అదే కదా ఎజెండా అదే కదా నాయకుడు ఆయనే కదా ఎలక్షన్ సింబల్ కూడా అదే కదా ఏం మారింది వీ థాట్ when we started getting interesting overtures from Maharashtra, when sarpanches started coming, 50-60 sarpanches started saying things like, please merge us into Telangana because all the good work you're doing here, Maharashtra is not doing. So our leaders said, okay, maybe let's experiment. Let's go and see, test the waters, feel the waters and see what can come off. If we are able to pull off 25-30 MPs altogether, who knows what we could be doing in Delhi, right? That was the thinking, broad level thinking. And for that to happen, if we had to go to Maharashtra or some other state and compete, we cannot be Telangana Rashtra Samiti because if I go there, then call me a Telangana party. They'll say, what business do you have here? So we had to take the name Bharat, nothing else. It's not like we wanted to move away from Telangana. We kept maintaining, we kept saying that our epicenter will be Telangana. Our focus will be on Telangana. We'll also be experimenting elsewhere. Of course, that could also be one of the reasons for hardcore fans like you who probably did not like it. Maybe you didn't like it. But part of the life. End of the day though, boss, I'll tell you. పేరులో ఏమీ ఉండదు నువ్వు ఏం చేస్తావు అనే దాన్ని బట్టి ఉంటుంది సో if I am given the decision to make, I would say stick to what you're doing, but do a better job. Last time చేసిన మిస్టేక్స్ అన్ని కరెక్ట్ చేసుకుని ప్రజల దగ్గరికి వెళ్తే I think they'll be hopefully more benevolent.
And the second question, will it be renamed back to BRS?
ఇంకా నీలాంటి హార్డ్ కోర్ ఫ్యాన్సే చెప్తున్నారు కానీ ఏమో గురు ఇంకా నాకు తెలియదు హూ నోస్ అంటే అది కూడా చెప్పాలి మళ్ళీ ఎట్లా అంటే మళ్ళీ ఇప్పుడు అంతా రికార్డ్ చేస్తారు నెవర్ సే నెవర్ సో ఐ డోంట్ నో
Good evening, KTR. My name is Srikanth from CC Vizag. My question is regarding leadership and decision making. A common challenge that business leaders and political leaders share is knowing when to hold the line and when to pivot. So, how do you, in your experience, how do you distinguish between conviction and stubbornness when making a high-stakes decision?
Conviction and stubbornness. Can you open this for me, please? Line is very thin, Shrikant. A great question, actually, because a lot of times achievers tend to be stubborn because they are achievers. They're successful in what they do. So they believe that what they are doing is right and that the path they've chosen is right. But only time will tell if it is right or wrong. That's how it works, right? That's how life works. So you have to be stubborn to be successful a lot of times. But you also have to be pragmatic at times to be able to see the difference between being stubborn and being a bit flexible. So therefore, I'd say all of us are going to make mistakes. Like, if you've read that beautiful quote of Michael Jordan, he says, I've missed more shots than I've ever made. That's going to be, if that's coming from the most successful basketball star ever, the GOAT, rest of us mortals, ordinary beings, I think we are going to make a lot more mistakes than, a GOAT, right? So I would say mistakes are going to be happening irrespective of what kind of leadership, you choose. Goal is to be minimizing it. Enta takwa tapul cheste enta takku porapatu cheste anta manchidi. So I would say it's a tough act, easier said than done, but follow your gut. End of the day, follow your gut. Don't hesitate, just follow your gut. Institution, I think it already knows what is right. Cheers.
KTR Garu, it was a pleasure listening to you, and the way you fielded the questions was amazing. It was like seeing a stylish batsman in full flow.
Vaibhav Suryavanshi. I'm kidding, I'm 50. Can't compare myself to a 15-year-old kid, no.
Yeah. Do you think BJP is winning elections by manipulating the EVMs?
I heard it as manipulating Indians, right?
EVMs.
Oh, I thought you said manipulating Indians. They are definitely winning by manipulating Indians, that's for sure. Now, EVMs, are they hackable? Of course, yes, they are. Any machine is hackable. Are they hacking it? I don't know. If I talk like somebody who's just trying to make a point because he's a sore loser, then I'm going to sound like an idiot. Fact is, there are doubts. A lot of countries have gone away from EVMs, sir. What's your name, sir? I forgot. Ahmed bhai, a lot of countries, if you look at Germany, the UK, US, have moved away from EVMs. There is no reason why India should also not consider that. Probably we should. Are they, being hacked? I don't have conclusive evidence. So if I say something, tomorrow Supreme Court, Election Commission of India, Modi ji, EDG, CBIG, ITG will all come behind me. You know it, I know it. So therefore, all I'd say is, we also have to look at a few other anomalies that are unfortunately shaping India's political rhetoric. One of the biggest concerns for me, Ahmed, I have 2 young children. Am I comfortable, for them to be residing in India in the future with things like what we see happening all around us? I'm not very comfortable with that thought, honestly. I'm being absolutely candid. Where that bigotry in the name of religion is going to one extreme. Because I was raised in India. In my school, when I was in school, the gentleman or the guy, the kid seated next to me, I did not have to know what his religion was, or which place he hailed from, or what he's wearing, what he's eating. I didn't care. He was my friend. That's all mattered, whether we liked each other. But in today's India, unfortunately, caste, religion, everything has become a focal point. And that is something that really bothers me. Because this country has shitload of problems. But what are we obsessing about? Which God to worship? Whose God is greatest? What kind of silly competition is this? अगर मैं बोलूँगा अहमद भाई आपसे कि मेरी माँ ग्रेट है कि आपकी माँ ग्रेट है, ये कैसा मुकाबला है? మీ మదర్ గ్రేటా నా మదర్ గ్రేటా ఎవరు చెప్తాడు దానికి ఆన్సరు? మీ దేవుడు గొప్పనా నా దేవుడు గొప్పనా? వాట్ నాన్ సెన్స్. సో మై పాయింట్ ఇస్ I am definitely worried for our country, the social harmony, the social fabric, and where this country is headed. It really bothers me, and I hope wisdom will dawn. I hope manipulating Indians will stop at some point, and eventually there will come a time when people will vote on merits, not on religious metrics. That's all I'll say. Thank you.